You're watching a Highwire Media podcast.
Hello, Ranger fans, and welcome to the Talkin' Texas Rangers show. As always, I'm your host, Larry Lease, and on today, we're diving into all the latest news coming out of Globe Life Field. Before we do that, give me your thoughts on the Rangers currently in the comment section below. And with that, let's dive into our first topic, shall we? We're going to take a look at 4 players who are entering their final days as a member of the 2025 Rangers. And it's time for these 4 to be done in a Texas Rangers uniform. With a series loss in a crucial divisional series against the Astros this week, the Rangers' playoff chances are getting slimmer by the inning. That means the season will soon come to an end, and so will a handful of players that have called the Rangers their home ball club. Some will be short-term departures, while others might sting a bit more due to their extended tenure and impact for the organization over the last few seasons, including a World Series title. While nostalgia will hit the fan base, some will even say these departures were long overdue. So, number 1, Adolis Garcia. Some people will say this is a reactionary piece, but if we take a look at the Garcia's final 2 seasons with Texas, his play took a dramatic dip down. Garcia, at 32, has become a national face in Major League Baseball and one of the most beloved Rangers in franchise history thanks to his heroics during the first few seasons of his tenure, including a record-breaking 2023 postseason performance, capped by a World Series Game 1 walk-off homer against Arizona. But the Cuban outfielder is on pace to have the least productive season of his career in several offensive categories, including home runs and RBIs, which made him so well known and beloved within the organization. Sadly, it's time for Texas to bid adieu to Garcia and either retool with other veteran outfield free agents or inject youthful exuberance into the roster for next season. He's of course not a free agent, but it still would be the right move for Texas to make. Number 2, Jon Gray. Even though Gray's final days in a Rangers uniform came on August 16th in a 2 1/3 inning relief outing against the Blue Jays, he will officially be off the team's payroll and into the free agent market at season's end. And just like Garcia, fans have a lot to be iffy about during Gray's 4-year tenure in Arlington. Of course, he was part of the 2023 World Series team and even pitched vital innings in the postseason. He was never truly at his strongest. In just over 401 innings with the Rangers spread across 82 games, the 6'4" Oklahoma native pitched to the tune of 4.28 ERA, 182 strikeouts, 61 walks for a record of 22 and 22, and a 2.8 WAR. He was good as a champion in the back end of the rotation for his time in Texas and as a bullpen piece down the stretch of the 2023 title run. But with his injuries, the Rangers are likely going to let Gray walk after completing his 4-year, $56 million deal he signed prior to the 2022 season. Next, Jonah Heim. Another one where we need to rightfully take nostalgia out of the conversation and look at it objectively and, quote, "what have you done for me lately" type. I'm just 2 years removed from his breakout Gold Glove season, is looking like a bottom feeder MLB player at best in 2025. In 116 games this season, he's hitting just .215 with 10 homers and 41 RBIs. He's also the 3rd worst active player on the roster in terms of average. At least he has catching skills, right? Wrong. He has one of the worst pop times of any catcher in the league. He's in the 22nd percentile in framing. His caught stealing rate is bad. And to make matters worse, he can't even block the ball at a positive rate. Not to mention, he's one of the slowest runners in the entire league. Next, Josh Boers. It would honestly be a pretty solid get if the Rangers were to keep Boers, and by all accounts, they likely will, given that he still has 1 year of arbitration eligibility. But should they keep him? The 31-year-old hasn't pitched in a big league game since September 24th, 2024. And even that was only 1 of 13 games last season. And after undergoing shoulder surgery during the offseason, Boers has yet to pitch major league innings in 2025 and likely will not do so. Even with a favorable contract, the injuries have not been kind to Boers. His 2023 2023 season was rough, but he finished strong in the postseason, which has adorned him to the fan base. Since the start of last year, he's been placed on the injured list 7 times. Now, he did get back on the mound in minor league rehab starts this season, but was shut down at the beginning of September after inconsistencies in results and slower fastball velocity in 12 games with AA and AAA. So let me know your thoughts on what you would do with these 4 players. Would you try to keep them, trade them, or just let them walk? And with that, let's get into our next topic. Well, the good news is the Rangers' playoff chances still exist. The roadmap to the postseason no longer goes through the AL West. The Texas Rangers almost pulled off a huge comeback but dropped another game to the Astros 6-5 and lost 3 in a row at the worst possible time. With Merrill Kelly's terrible outing, Texas is now 4.5 games behind their Silver Boot rivals, and the road to the playoffs no longer goes through Houston, Seattle, or even the AL West. But there is still a decent chance that they could sneak into the final wildcard spot if they get back to their winning ways. With just 10 games left on the schedule, the Rangers are now closest to the surging Cleveland Guardians and struggling Boston Red Sox. Cleveland has won 10 of 11, while Boston has lost 4 of their last 5 and has a much more difficult slate of games to close out the season. The Rangers have a very favorable schedule left with series against the Marlins and Twins at Globe Life Field before they head to Cleveland for the final 3 games of the regular season. Ideally, they would be in a position to control their own destiny in that 3-game set versus the Guardians. The Rangers need to turn things around immediately, but also need the Guardians to cool off and the Red Sox to continue to lose. Of their final 10 games, the Guardians have 5 games left with the AL Central leading Detroit Tigers. They do get a 4-game set with the struggling Twins, but then they have the Rangers in what could be a 3-game series to secure a playoff spot. All of that would be moot, however, if the Red Sox don't come back to them by continuing to lose. Their schedule is easily the toughest of the 3 remaining teams in the hunt. Boston plays 3 games against the Tigers, 3 against the Blue Jays. All of this is also dependent on the Rangers returning to their late season form and applying pressure on both the Guardians and the Red Sox. Excuse me. So let me know in the comments section below, what do you think is going to happen? And with that, let's dive into our next topic. Here, we're going to dive into some of the biggest breakout Ranger prospects to watch following a strong 2025 campaign. The minor league season is concluding, and some prospects had quite the season. The 2025 minor league season is wrapping up this week. Some prospects had rough seasons, while others rose through the ranks and showed real promise. The Rangers farm system was not one of the highly looked upon systems entering the year, and left with a major shakeup in their farm system's rankings. Following trades and other moves, the top 30 prospect list for the Rangers had a lot of turnover. A lot of the trades were made due to the breakout of many prospects that gave the organization the feeling they could get rid of guys and still have some stars in waiting. The only question is, who are those stars? Who are those that are now stars in waiting? So, right off the bat, number 1, Cameron Cawley. With a 70-run grade and a 60 field grade, Cawley's only real knock was his hit and power grade tools. At 22, he got up to AA this season and displayed that his bat is coming across nicely. His 253, 325, 448 slash line for a 773 OPS was a nice display. His last game was an electric end to a great season. His strikeout total is relatively concerning, but seeing the ball travel further is a great sign. His 48 total extra base hits, including 15 home runs, showed there is still room to grow. If Cawley can continue his coming out party, the Rangers may have the answer to the long-term center field problem. Number 2, Caden Scarborough. Scarborough entered the season with relatively no hype and left people questioning if he is the next star in the making. The 20-year-old with a massive 6'5" frame is filling out and filling up the strike zone with incredible results. In his 88 innings across the low A and high A ball, he racked up 114 strikeouts to 21 walks with a 2.45 ERA, allowing just a 181 average against, along with a .81 whip. There were major questions following the trading Mitch Bratt and Cole Drake, who was next up for the Rangers, and Scarborough looks to be the answer. There seems to be a consensus that Scarborough has a level that other arms in the system might not have. His elite level extension and athleticism leave the ceiling higher than the Rangers are familiar with their pitching prospects having. Next, Jose Corniel. Despite only making 12 starts in 2025, Corniel pitched at 3 levels to high level of success. He is now the number 3 prospect in the Rangers organization and the number 1 ranked pitching prospect. He was not stretched out no starts, but was pure domination. In his 20 innings at AA, he allowed just 5 hits, 1 walk, and struck out 20 batters before immediately being called up to AAA Round Rock. The Rangers might be ready to get him up to the MLB as soon as possible, and Corniel looks to be ready given that he is healthy next season. Excuse me. Always forget how to say this guy's name. Apologies. Abimelec Ortiz. The Rangers farm system was in a major search for power heading into the season and found it with Ortiz. He had high walk numbers along with displaying his knack for hitting the ball into the gaps and over the fence show that he is ready to go from a below-radar prospect to being the guy. Prolonged problems at first base since 2023 shows that there is a need there for the Rangers. When Ortiz gets hot, there is no getting him out. Finding out his problem against left-handers with good off-speed might be the final key from Ortiz being a key bat for the future. David Davillo. Following a strong 2024, he kicked his minor league career into another gear. His 2024 promotion to High A saw his average and contact numbers to spike. Despite having good core numbers, but went through 2 levels this year and elevated his game the whole time. He had a 184 average against for a 2.44 ERA that saw him take on AA for the first time. His numbers warrant consideration to start the year in Round Rock next season. The soon-to-be 23-year-old will be pushing for the big leagues next year, and this is great for any long-term fan that knows the pitching woes in the Rangers system. Excuse me. And now on to our next topic. We're going to take a look at 3 upcoming free agent Ranger players that need to be re-signed at all costs. Even though the Rangers are still in the playoff race in regular season, the 2025 season is still almost coming to an end. Once it ends, it will only feel like a few weeks until the Rangers are back in surprise for spring training next March. That leaves a lot of decisions left to be made for President of Baseball Operations Chris Young and the rest of the Rangers front office. The Rangers will potentially lose 10 players to the free agent market this winter, and choices on who to re-sign will haunt Chris Young. While we address 3 players Texas should pass on, there are 3 that needs to be re-signed, no matter the cost in doing so. Number 1, Patrick Corbin. Say all you want about Corbin, but the 36-year-old veteran southpaw has done everything he could for Texas and more this season to hold down the back end of the Rangers rotation. Corbin only signed with Texas right before opening day due to spring training injuries to Gray and Bradford. No one was happy about the signing as Corbin had been arguably one of the worst big league pitchers in recent seasons. While his numbers don't jump off the page, Corbin has pitched 146 and 2/3 innings with at least 2 starts left on his ledger for the season. In those innings, he's 7-9 with a 4.23 ERA, 124 strikeouts, and a 134 whip. There's no telling what the rotation will look like in 2026, but Corbin would provide much-needed length in the back of the rotation and is likely to stay healthy most of the year. He won't require a ton of money, so I believe the value he offers for the price is well worth it. And then we have Phil Maton. Maton joined Texas at the trade deadline from Texas, and despite a few early rough outings, the right-hander has been one of the most valuable level-headed bullpen options for Bruce Bochy in the second half of the year. Although he has a worse ERA this season with Texas than he did with St. Louis, he has given Texas a lot of valuable late-inning heroics in his 18 1/3 innings. He's limiting hitters to a 177 batting average, and his .98 whip is second lowest among active Ranger arms. Not to mention, he is emotionless, which gives him a lot of calm on the mound. He's come in and gotten some clutch outs late, including the last 6 1/3 innings against the Astros, Brewers, and Mets, where he only surrendered 1 run. He will be coveted at the deadline by various teams, but I say, he's enjoyed his time in Texas, he's too important to lose in the back end of the pen. This one could get a lot of flack because Hobie Milner, that's right, Hobie Milner, has been so up and down, especially in the eyes of the fan base. Excuse me. Sometimes the lefty looks like one of the most untouchable relievers in Major League Baseball, and other times it looks like he is serving up batting practice balls. But with such a huge value being placed on left-handed bullpen arms, Texas needs to grab him off the free agent market. In 68 games, Milner has thrown the most games of any Texas bullpen arm this season. That also translates to the second most only reliever innings thrown, trailing just Sean Armstrong. Milner has a .351 ERA and 55 strikeouts in those innings, but has faltered over his last 7 games, surrendering 7 earned runs in that time. Regardless, Milner will still get a lot of attention this winter. Texas needs to be active in teaming him up with Mountain for experienced back-end bullpen arms. He signed a 1-year deal with Texas this past winter for $2.5 million, and don't imagine it taking more than that to get him to return next year. And now on to our next topic. The Rangers' first half pitching star's return might be too little, too late. The star is almost back, but is it too little, too late? By far the most surprising player for the Rangers in the first half of 2025 was Tyler Mahle. He not only led the club in terms of pitching success, but was among the best in the league. Rangers' rotation has not missed a step without Mahle, but without how good he was pitching prior to injury, he can certainly elevate this team. With a season-ending injury to Nathan Eovaldi, there is a slot to be filled. The Rangers front office has confirmed his next outing will be in the big leagues. As part of his recovery from a shoulder injury, he was sent to AAA Round Rock on a rehab assignment to ramp up for his return. His most recent outing saw him go for 4 productive innings with 50-plus pitches thrown. So what role will Tyler Mahle fill for the Rangers? Jacob Latz has been sensational this season for the Rangers, but has been moved to the rotation. There's no exact date for Tyler's return to a mound or in what capacity, but his old spot as the long reliever / bulk innings guy is wide open. The Rangers are in do-or-die territory with no room to breathe. The entire AL West is on a hot streak, making the stress potentially too much for the Rangers. If the Rangers can save their taxed bullpen by putting Tyler in there in tough long spots, major issues can be avoided. They need as many healthy arms as possible, and a return would likely be set. Or would be set following a series against Miami. The Marlins have been no pushover this season that will likely prove to be tougher than expected. Taking an on-fire Latz out of the rotation likely won't be the choice. Utilizing Tyler in his role could be easiest on the current team that has been flying up to postseason odds lately. Comfortably may aid Bochy's decision, but no firm decision has been made yet. The only issue that might pop up in this involves how little Tyler has come out of the bullpen. He has only logged 1 bullpen outing, and it was following a Wade Miley injury, where they needed somebody to eat some innings in a weird 60-game season. If Mahle is to return to the rotation rather than the bullpen, Friday night is likely the spot for him to start. The probable for now is Patrick Corbin, who can come out of the bullpen if needed that day. Adding another weapon to the strength of this team will lead to questions, but not problems. Ranger players and fans are looking forward to the return of the first half hero. Let me know your thoughts on all the topics we covered in the comments section below. Give us a thumbs up if you like our videos, hit that subscribe button down below, hit that bell notification button so you never miss another episode. And of course, if you want to support the channel, you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/TTRangers. As always, thank you so much for watching and listening. We'll see you next time.